Good morning, everyone. This is the June 1st meeting for the Podiatric Medical Board, and I will take roll. Dr. Carolyn McAloon.
Here.
Dr. Daniel Lee.
Present.
Maria Cadenas.
Present.
Dr. Judith Manzi.
Present.
Darlene Trulio Elliott.
Present.
Samantha Yu Chang.
And we got an email from her. She's unable to attend.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, we still have a quorum, so that's good.
Okay, this is Brian, the Executive Officer. Thank you, everybody, for attending the June 1st meeting. At this point, I'll turn it over to Dr. McAloon, the President of PMBC.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the June 1st meeting of the PBMC. At this time, I'd like to request any public comments on items that are not on the agenda.
This is the moderator. We are now accepting public comment for items not on the agenda. If you would like to make a comment, please type the word comment into the Q&A box in the lower right-hand corner of the screen and send that comment to all participants. You may also raise your hand. Dial-in users, the command is *3 to raise your hand. We will call on people in the order we have requests. We're going to take about 15 seconds now to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request for public comment, do you wish to return to the agenda?
Yes, please. Next, I'd like the board members to vote on approving or comments on the meetings from February 23rd board meeting. Are there any comments on the minutes from the last meeting? Hearing none, Kathleen, can you take a vote to approve the minutes?
Yes. Dr.
Thank you.
McAloon.
Sorry, this is Brittany. We just need a motion first.
Oh, I make a motion that we approve the minutes of the last meeting, please.
Second.
And is there a second?
Second. Dr. Daniel
Dr.
Lee.
Lee? Okay.
Madam Board President, would you like to take public comment on the motion?
Yes, please.
We are now accepting public comment on the motion. If you would like to make a comment, please type the word comment into the Q&A box in the lower right-hand corner of the screen and send that comment to all participants. Please, you may also raise your hand. Dial-in users, the command is *3. We're going to take just a few seconds now to see if we have a request for public comment on the meeting minutes. Seeing no request for comment, do you wish to return to the motion?
Yes, please.
Okay. I will take roll for your approval for the motion by Dr. McAloon and seconded by Dr. Lee to approve the February 23rd, 2023 minutes. Dr. McAloon.
Yes.
Dr. Lee.
Yes.
Ms. Cadenas.
Yes.
Dr. Manzi.
Yes.
Ms. Elliott.
Yes.
The minutes are approved.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So next we'll receive the report, the different sections of the executive officer's report. Brian, do you have anything to introduce before we start into the individual committee areas?
No, I do not. So
So
I
Dr.
think I'm
Manzi,
good.
will you present the report on the licensing program, please?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. I'm going to get that page. Excuse me. Okay. Can you guys put the agenda screen, the screen, can you, advance the screen here? Do you see it?
This is the moderator. Are we on item 5, Executive Officer's Report?
No,
My apologies.
no. So we're
Where do we
doing,
need to be?
we're doing the
We need to be at
license.
5A.
Yeah. There we go. Okay, great. Right. So I'm going to turn this over to Andrea, is it? To do the licensing report.
Good morning. Can you hear me now?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Great.
Okay.
Good morning.
Good morning. So the following information is for the third quarter of fiscal year 22-23 between January 1st and March 31st. There were 31 newly licensed DPMs, currently 16 pending applications with 0 candidates that recently completed their package. And so far, PMBC has 16 applicants from out of state, 31 are third-year residents from California, and 25 are third-year residents from an out-of-state program. Moving on to renewals, there were 284 renewals mailed with 265 licenses renewed in quarter 3. There were 3 new residents added to the second-year resident rotation list, bringing the license total count to 130. Next, for a Breeze update, BMO 1762 was passed and put into production in January, and this added the change of address transaction into Breeze for fictitious name permits. Next, we have an audit update. As of April 2023, out of the 43 audited licensees, 43 have been found in compliance. And next, we have the update to the DPM's request to use the additional certification for the extended course of study. Per the board's request, the DPM submitted proof of 50.5 CMEs, and we're still waiting for the letter from Kent State. I was told we were supposed to receive that last week, but we haven't, so they are following up again to have them resend it. Next, we have a discussion and possible action on sending the PMBC executive officer to the Federation of Podiatric Medical Boards annual meeting. Dr. Manzi brought this up at the last meeting. So if you'd like to take over for this part.
Dr. Manzi, can you give us your thoughts about item number 5, sending our executive EO to the Federation?
Yes. I'm trying to pull this up, my notes. Sorry. Oh, give me a second. I hate not meeting in person. It's so recently at the so every year the Federation of Medical Boards has an annual meeting, and at this annual meeting, so it's a huge organization. I actually did not know much about them until I actually became a member of the Federation Board. And the Podiatric Federation Board meets annually at this meeting. So we're not really, so there are other member organizations as well that are part of this meeting, like all the osteopaths. There's representation from many of all the state boards. Most of them have like booths and things there. And there's also this huge student piece to it because remember this board also kind of is the umbrella organization under their National Board of Medical Examiners, overseeing the USMLE tests. Also, this board has affiliation and oversight into if there's any sort of reprimand or educational, like the PACE program, they're all there too. They're representing their organization in the sense that they supply those re-educational pathways to all the boards, all the medical boards across the country. So what we've noticed lately is some of these boards are combined boards. So we have our own podiatric medical board, but many of the states, as you know, have different, they're under different umbrellas. Sometimes they're shared boards with the medical boards. It's in Ohio, for instance, the president of the entire medical board, could or that has a seat on the medical board is a podiatrist because their board is umbrellaed under their combined board. So what we're seeing is many of these boards send their executive officers to these meetings. And I think it'd be very, very beneficial for us to have Brian go to these meetings. It's an annual meeting. The next one I think is in Nashville. I think we totally could afford to send we have enough in our budget to send him. And I think, if you ask well, what is the benefit? I think the benefit is that the programs they put on, so basically he would be going to different tracks during the weekend, are made for people who are running these boards and who are the executive officers, et cetera. And the information you get that you see being explained, or the topics of what's, very, I guess, current, and that's a concern for all medical boards across the country, are basically, presented here. And the commonality of struggles you have in both licensing and in discipline, and budgetary concerns, and how to run effective boards and things like that are all really invaluable, I think, to have a very efficient board and streamline your board that we have. And California is a really heavy hitter in this arena. They even among the medical board, people look at California as what's going on there, because that's usually what's going to go on in the rest of the excuse me, I'm so sorry. And it's going to go on in the rest of the country. So sorry. So what I think we should do, hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, great. Yeah, so what I think we should do is consider this and, make a concerted effort to have Brian go.
Thanks, Judy. Overall, I'm in support of these sorts of things where, we participate with other states and other organizations to learn best practices, both, to your point, both to get something out of it and to give something back. So overall, I'm in support of these kind of things. I have a couple of questions for you. One is, what I hear you're saying is you're proposing this not as a one-time thing this year for Nashville, but your recommendation is that on an annual basis, our EO attends this meeting. Am I understanding that that's your recommendation?
That's correct. Yes.
So my next question is to Brian. Brian, since you're the one to whom we are referring, what are your thoughts on having a representative from our board, the EO, attend this meeting annually, both personally as your thoughts on this sort of thing, and then secondarily financially, if you could address both those for our board.
I'm sorry, I'm on a text message right now. Can you repeat that again?
Sure, Brian. So I had a question for you. Is one, what did you think of Judy's idea overall as the EO, as the one who would have to go? And two, then could you speak to the financial contribution from the board to make this happen if we are if we decide to support it?
I think it's a good idea. I mean, I attend some of the federation's Zoom meetings, or WebEx meetings, and it's very, very informational. But to be in a forum where there's many EOs from different states would be very beneficial. Like Judy said, everybody looks at California and are always asking, how are you guys doing this? How are you guys, getting ahead of this? And so that would be, I think something I can bring back to the board. Financially, I don't think it's going to be that much. It would just be a plane ticket. And how long is this thing, Judy?
Yes. So the meeting, you're part of the meeting. It essentially would be like the actual days that you'd be going to sessions and things is mostly Friday and Saturday. And then it's usually over by noon on Saturday. Sometimes there's some things going on Thursday, and if it's in Nashville, you'd have to kind of fly in. So I would say that you'd be there for like 3 nights at the maximum. It's about a 2.5-day seminar. But
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I wish that the whole board could go, because I'm telling you, it's a real eye opener. It's an eye opener about medicine in general. It's an eye opener on, the commonality of frustration and concern, and the commonality of what all these boards face, is really something.
And the other twist to it too, if this goes through, if you guys vote for me to do this, then I'd have to put in out-of-state travel. And sometimes those are approved and sometimes they're not. So, there's not going to be a state rate because it's in Tennessee, right?
Right.
So I'd have to put in out-of-state travel, and I think it runs all the way up to the director, maybe the governor's office. I'm not sure, or agency, at least agency. So, there's a possibility they just might say no. But times have changed.
Well,
Because
there's many members of the California Medical Board that attend the meeting, not just
Okay.
you. I mean, there's a whole bunch of them.
So maybe I could check with them. Maybe I can just, put my name on.
That was my
out of
point.
state.
Like, and in fact, one of the podiatrists that was there said that essentially it was paid for by, the medical board. You know what I'm saying? And so, but whether they paid for it or not, honestly, we definitely could afford it. But that's the other avenue to look at if DCA somehow says, oh no, this is beneficial, you should go. Because like I said, they send a lot of their own, the medical board, the regular medical board, California.
So I recommend that we, in addition to, we don't have to hold postpone a vote, but I recommend Brian investigating, through the medical board, through DCA, if there are any other, tag-alongs, for example. Can we hop on their bandwagon? Does the medical board pay for that? Does DCA pay for it? Finding out all that information. I don't recommend postponing the vote for that, but I definitely recommend that we inquire about those details. The other thought I had is, if putting to the vote is, to recommend sending our EO. But let's say that there's a year that the EO can't go for personal reasons or professional reasons. Then perhaps when we decide on how to do this, we could have a backup that consider sending the president if the EO is unavailable to attend.
Yeah.
So that we save the spot. So that just if our EO can't go, we could send the president or even another board member if we have agreed to save the spot. I was just going to suggest when we create the motion that we consider writing it in that way, so that if for some reason that person couldn't go, we already don't have to request that someone else go, that we already could just fill the spot.
Yeah, so Caroline, that is a great idea. I personally wish we could send every board member, because I'm telling you, it really, I don't even know how to describe. There's so much that goes on at those meetings that would be beneficial to our board, that 100% at least. And the only reason, honestly, that I, can even report all this is because I'm on the Federation board. I would have never known about this. In fact, I think on the upcoming meeting that the Federation's going to have with all the member boards. They're going to talk about this, like how important it would be and beneficial it would be to all the podiatric medical boards to send somebody to these meetings, because you know, there's all this talk of parity and interstate medical licensing, and you know, I mean, things are changing so rapidly because of COVID. It's unbelievable. And even like this whole thing now that's been passed about, which I found out at the Federation, they've got this whole legislation now, this like thing that in any time of a natural, you know, disaster where you need all hands on deck, the streamlined licensing of allied health professionals. I mean, like podiatry, osteopath, even if you're not that medical specialist, like if you're an orthopedist and they need you to go do something else, it's like they now have a whole new, you know, way of quickly streamlining this to access this health care core, to be prompted in action, so you don't have to wait. Oh, can a podiatrist go give a vaccination? You know what I mean? So it's like there's so many, and then the other thing too is like CMEs, the way that they're collecting CMEs now, and what their recommendation is for CMEs, you know, as far as don't spell out the CME they have to get. All these kinds of things come up, and they're so common to like all the things that we are struggling with. So I think that's a great idea. I think we should kind of try to organize this where we would like to send, you know, one member, hopefully I think our EO should go first, to this regular meeting every year. And I think it really would behoove us to do it.
Thank you.
Hi,
Do any
Dr.
other
Manzi.
members have any comments on this topic?
Hi, Dr. Manzi. This is Daniel Lee. On regards to having our EO request for the travel out of state and so forth, if it becomes out of state, because it looks like most of the meetings are out of state, just for preparation purposes and for our EO to understand the scheduling, and so that it doesn't necessarily interfere with our board calendar. Would you know when about they have the
Yeah,
annual meetings? It looks like June or July from my quick search, but would you
no,
know when those could be?
yeah, I do know the next one. They announced them. They announced these a year in advance. So at the last meeting, they announced it. It's actually in Nashville, and I think it's not until March. So let me see. Federation of Medical State Boards.
I think I understand they have a short fall meeting and a winter meeting or something like that, but they do have like an annual meeting. So
So
that's
this is
the main one, right?
that it's the annual meeting, and it's going to be in. I'm pretty sure it's March for the state medical boards. Let's see. I had this. Oh, I think I have the brochure here.
While you look up the date, Judy, this is Maria. I have just a simple comment. I do agree that participation will inform the work of our board better and the field in general. And I'm supportive of our EO attending. I think that if the EO cannot attend, it might be more prudent for maybe a staff who can come back and implement and guide the board on the findings. And if a board member does go, there needs to be some accountability on what exactly learnings or things are going to feed back into it. When the EO goes, they have a year-round position where they can implement and inform the rest of the board. As board members, we're just a little more limited on time and capacity, including operations of staff support. So that'd be my only guidance, is be mindful how would the learnings be implemented back to the board if attending, and also just whatever the motion is, I would just be cautious of cementing a protocol of almost guaranteed attendance without a budget review in the annual process. That's all.
Yeah, I can see your point there. I'm just looking through now, like the whole schedule of what, you know, they were.
Yeah, this is Brian. Before we go forward, our Deputy Chief, Christine Lawley, just sent me an email, and there's prohibited states that we can't go to for out-of-state travel, and Tennessee is one of them.
Okay. Oh,
So I did not know that.
yeah, I think that's true because of their policies on like, they discriminate against gender. And I know that when we had the meeting in Charlotte, because they don't, it had something to do with the bathrooms, believe it or not. And California wouldn't send the whole California contingency had to do it via Zoom, but that's the other option too. I mean, it's unfortunate that is what happens, because they were all in Minneapolis, because I don't think Minnesota has so many anti-gay, that was the big problem, I know, in Charlotte. But
So I have a question then, Brian, back to that. So if it's a state where California government officials from California are unable to travel to that state, is one permitted to join such a meeting via Zoom?
yes.
I believe so.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
I believe so.
Yeah, they are, because they were there. So this might be also something to think about. And actually, if that's the case, I'll ask Russ and see if, that would be even extended to any board member that would be interested to even Zoom in for one or two of these, virtual meetings, just to see, you might find one of the topics, calling to you. But
Judy, that would be great, because if we do Zoom, then there's no cost. It's just interest and time, interest and availability.
Yes.
If we're not traveling anywhere. So I have a question. So what I hear you saying is that this next meeting is in Nashville, which means that we cannot send someone in person to that particular meeting because of the location. So then I have a question for the group. Do we want to then defer this conversation, and just say, hey, Brian, we think it's a good idea this year if you Zoom, and Judy, you get the Zoom information and send it to all of us, and any of us who are available can do the Zoom for that meeting, and postpone this policy another year because we can kick the can down the road since we can't do it this year? Or is this something that everyone would like to codify now? I'd like anybody who has an opinion on that to speak up.
I have an opinion. I do want to kind of echo Maria's comments. This is kind of a budget topic, and again, I think it needs to be kind of detailed out more so in its like an individual report, so that we have something to reflect on, once this goes through. So it does need to kind of be hammered out a little bit more, the details, who can go, what's the benefit, and again, is the budget available? That would just be my recommendation.
I think that's a great recommendation. So Judy, would you be comfortable in not calling not making a motion today to vote on this, but to flesh that out a little bit more with we're looking at the budget and how much it costs and who would go, and kind of have a recommendation on what such a motion might look like? And since it's not urgent, we wouldn't have to propose it today, but something to come back to the board with, that from what I hear from everyone saying is overall that the group is in support of this issue. And if we could just flesh it out a little bit more so that everyone's comfortable with what we're agreeing to, I think we have support for this. Would you be comfortable with that, Judy?
Oh, yeah, I totally am. I mean, and once again, as you all know, I'm leaving this board. I'm staying on the Federation board for another 2 years. But I think that as you continue to participate, I think with the Federation board, you'll kind of hear more about this. And I think state medical boards, honestly, they really are important, as you know, you're all serving on one, but I don't think we're in a bubble here. I don't think you really, I think to appreciate the full effect of, what's going on in the country, this meeting's invaluable, and I think it only enhances our board. And as far as this, what are you getting out of it? Can you prove that there's measurable things? Yeah, I mean, they talk about, streamlining your board, make sure you're working in efficiencies. They talk about, our sunset and our reviews and our going forward for strategic planning. Strategic planning, there should be actually a small portion of what our strategic plan is in every meeting we have. You don't just do a strategic plan once every 4 years and say, oh yeah, that's our plan. In fact, it's an ongoing process. I mean, they talk about these kinds of things at this meeting. And, even the stuff that's coming down now with opioids, everyone's going to now take this 6-week course, I mean, this 8-hour course in opioids. And do we give them CME credits? And yes, you probably should. And I mean, there's so many things to know that, that are outside what we actually end up discussing in our little board meetings here. And I think it would be very easy to measure, the benefit to not only the public, that you're taking care of, but your licensees as well. And I don't think it would be a hard thing to measure. So yes, I'm fine with not taking any kind of action at all. I just think it's information that I really felt compelled to discuss. And I do hope that, in the future, to see California's Podiatric Medical Board have some sort of presence at one of these meetings, whether it be virtual or, hopefully someday send someone physically there.
Thank you, Judy. And I had forgotten that today's your last day. So it's not fair to ask you to do that work. I forgot about
you guys.
I haven't done this without you, and I haven't not yet imagined a future where you are not here. So reality has just hit me upside the head.
There you go.
So Brian, for right now, can we task this to you and Andrea until we have a new committee, until we sign a new committee chair for this committee, but to start doing that in work for us, get the information at least about, this year's meeting, so that maybe we have a Zoom link for all of us who want to do it, plus looking forward to the future about a time when we could do this in person and codify our thoughts, including the wonderful suggestions from Darlene and Maria as well, incorporating those concerns, and just kind of start working on having this, preparing us to have this as part of our processes for our board.
Yeah, I think that's great. And also, I think that it's not, you're going to hear more about this, I think, with Federation, what they have to present regarding it. And also, I think that I encourage anybody, if you have any kind of interest at all in the way boards run and what's going on in the country, just go on the Federation of State Medical Boards, that's FSMB, and the links are all there from our Podiatric Federation of State Medical Boards. And just look at what this seminar was all about, because I'm telling you, it was a real eye-opener for me. This one particular, because in the past, our meeting, the Federation's board would meet, Podiatric one, at this meeting and not go to a lot of these lectures. This year, it was like, no, you're going to go to all the lectures, and then we'll also have our meetings, which is what we did. And it was really an eye-opener. There's a lot going on. And it relates a lot to podiatry. So that's what I have to say. But thank you. I'll stop talking now.
Well, Judy, your enthusiasm and passion for this is definitely, rubbing on the rest of us. I can tell. So, Brian, can we make this an agenda item then for the next meeting and circle back around on what we've learned between now and then?
Absolutely. I'll work with Judy and Russ Stoner with the Federation, the director of the Federation too. I talk to him frequently, so I can work something out and we'll put it on the agenda for the next Zoom meeting, or how that would work. So yeah.
Fantastic. Before we move away from this item today, does anyone else on the board would like to make any other comments on this issue before moving on? Cool. Dr. Manzi, thank you so very much for informing us all about this excellent opportunity for us to know better and do better. Brian, thank you to you and the staff for getting more information for the board to consider. And I think we're all in favor of the concept, and with more details can flesh out how we'd like to proceed. So we'll revisit this at our next meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Andre, do you want to resume giving the report where we left off then? Number 6?
Yes, so next would be the quarterly timeline. And are there any questions on this first portion of the licensing report? Okay, so then finally we have the 19 California postgraduate clinical training programs that are seeking approval of applications for residency offered for the 2023-2024 academic year. The licensing committee recommended that these programs be forwarded to board for full approval. They're all the same programs from last year. There was just a couple director changes, but no other changes besides that.
All right, so for clarity, these 19 are the same 19 of last year, with the only differences as there have been some changes in the residency directors. Am I understanding your presentation
Yes.
of that?
2 programs have a new director.
Sorry, Dr. Manzi, do you have any comments on this list?
No, the list looked all completed, and I would recommend for approval.
Can you make a motion for the board?
Yes, so I make a motion to approve the California Podiatric Residency Programs for the academic year 23-24 that have been submitted to the board.
Thank you. Is there any public comment on this motion?
Sorry to interrupt, Dr. McAloon, we'll need a second on the motion.
Oh, I apologize. Thank you. I appreciate it. Is there a board member who's willing to second
This is Dr. Lee. I second.
Thank you. I'm sorry I skipped that part.
This is the moderator. We are now accepting public comment on the motion. If you would like to make a comment, please type the word comment into the Q&A box in the lower right-hand corner of the screen and send that comment to all participants. Dial-in users, please dial *3 to raise your hand. We will call on people in the order we have requests. We're going to take a few seconds now to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request for public comment, do you wish to return to the motion?
Yes, please. Is there any discussion from board members regarding the motion currently before us? Hearing none, Kathleen, can I ask you to take a vote on the motion?
Excuse me, I'm sorry, I could not hit that mute. Okay, Dr. McAloon.
Approved.
Dr. Lee.
Approve.
Ms. Cadenas.
Aye.
Dr. Manzi.
Yes.
Ms. Elliott.
Aye.
The motion passes.
Thank you, everyone. Dr. Manzi, do you have anything else to add for the licensing report for today?
No, that's all I've got. Thank you for, considering this, I don't know, information regarding Federation.
Thank you for listening. We appreciate it. All right, then moving on to our next item on the agenda, the update on the enforcement program. Ms. Cadenas, would you give us the report? Yes, thank you. I'm going to ask Ms. Bethany Angeles to go ahead and provide a verbal report. Thank you.
This is Bethany DeAngelis with the enforcement report. Today's report covers the third quarter, which is January 1st, 2023 through March 31st, 2023. First, we have attachment A, which covers the complaint data. We had 28 complaints received during quarter three. There's a slight error in the written report here. It should be a 47% decrease of the total investigations over the third quarter of last year. The investigation data, we had 26 desk investigations assigned during quarter three. 31 desk investigations were completed, and our desk investigation processing time averaged 79 days. That's a 93% increase over the 41 days of prior year's quarter three. One update is we did lose our consumer complaint analyst who was with us for many years, Julie Brown. She retired suddenly in early March. Medical board is seeking to fill the position. It does take months to fill a state position. In the meantime, we have various people processing the complaints. They're still getting worked, but the time may slow down a bit until that position is filled. We completed 2 field investigations in the third quarter, and they averaged 521 days to complete. Case investigation times, which include both desk and field investigations, had an average of 169 days to complete those. Our investigation aging data shows of 2 field complaints closed during quarter. Oh, that's we got another little error here. Hold on, I'm going to check the data report. We had a total of 26, not 2, and 28 completed. Okay, so 57% of those, or 16 complaints, were closed within 90 days. 25%, or 7, were closed between 91 days to a year, and 18%, or 5 of those, took longer than 1 year to close. And an update on investigation costs. Our costs continue to rise, even though we had a non-sworn unit initiated in 2022 that was to assist in lowering costs. And there was also a change to the time tracking system used by Division Investigation and an increase in the hourly rates. So although these costs have increased, there's really not a lot that we can do. And so we're watching our budget closely and just monitoring and making sure that we're able to manage the increasing costs these days. Attachment C is our disciplinary data. We had 1 case initiated during the third quarter. That's an 83% decrease over the prior year third quarter, and no final orders went into effect during quarter 3. No citations were issued during the third quarter either. And no probationers were added or completed during the third quarter. We had a total of 10 active licensees at the end of quarter 3. Quarter 3 was pretty slow for disciplinary action, although this next report for quarter 4, you're going to see a lot of action.
And is that due to the retirement of Ms. Brown?
No, so that's on that's the desk investigation portion. That's the beginning of the complaint. The discipline is the end. It's handled by the Attorney General's office. I'm not exactly sure why we didn't really have any action going during the winter, but we've had a lot of movement in the spring, and it's relatively small numbers when we're looking at the disciplinary data. It's just, a few, so it can seem like a large statistic when we have 1 versus, 3 or something, or 0 versus 3. And then the attachment D covers the totals. So this is 3 quarters so far that we have completed for fiscal year 22-23. And to give us a little bit better idea of how we're looking, we had almost less than 50% of complaints received, compared to the last third quarter. But when we look at all 3 quarters together, we're at about 23% less complaints than last year. Same with investigations assigned. We're about 25% less investigations than the prior year, and currently at about 30% fewer cases initiated for discipline. Our totals, 85 complaints received total so far this year, 83 investigations assigned, and 7 disciplinary cases initiated so far this year. We've had 4 final orders issued. No citations yet, although the next quarter will show some movement there. Our final attachment is attachment for the statistics, attachment E, Attorney General cases. This is the information received directly from the Attorney General's office and includes information updated through April 28th of this year. Does anyone have any questions regarding any of the enforcement statistics at this time? We've had a few cases recently that were sent out for vote. I just want to remind the board members to check their DCA emails to respond to votes in a timely manner. F, as far as the DCA performance measures, section F on the report, this has not been updated since the end of fiscal year 21-22, but it has the link so you can get that data for prior fiscal years. If there's no questions, I'll move on to the probation program. Okay. So our cost recovery between January and March, we recovered $30,189.25 in cost recovery payments, $24,519.04 in probation monitoring payments, and $2,126.25 in citation payments, with a total of $56,834.54 in cost recovery for quarter 3. Moving on to the consultant and expert program update. We did finally hold our expert consultant training on March 17th, 2023. This was given via WebEx. We had a really good feedback from the training and really good participation. We did offer payment for the training, as we do believe that incentivizes individuals to appear. And due to our limited budget and desire to have well-trained experts and consultants, we were inquiring as to whether CME credit could be offered in the future for individuals who are qualified and appointed to an expert or consultant position with the board. We had our legal review look it over, and they found no legal objection to this based on our regulations that the board has authority to approve CME credit. I've attached the regulations 1399.670 and 1399.671 that go into, what the requirements are to approve CMEs. And so I believe at this time, I don't know if our legal staff or if Brian or anybody would like to jump in and add anything to this, but I believe that we were going to ask the board if they would like to vote to approve CME credit for future expert consultant trainings.
So Bethany came up with this. Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, Brian. My first question is, if we have the authority to do so, is that something we need to vote on still?
This is Brittany. I think best practice is, for the board to go ahead and make a motion and take a vote on the item.
I have something to say about this. So I sit on the Council of Educational. It's the council. It's the committee that actually gives these organizations the right or the ability, I guess, to provide CME. And it's been interesting because that they have very, the organizations that get to do it, it's very specified and all this. At this federation meeting that I was at, they were actually talking about the subject of giving CMEs for this type of thing. And they actually all the other states are doing it. They're very much in favor of it. And this is of course, this is among the medical boards. So I highly recommend that we allow this and do give CMEs for this because, you know, you don't want to like overstep what you're confining, I guess, your podiatrist to get to actually, you know, acquire CME for. Anything that promotes, you know, your ability to better governance the profession, whether it be something that is good for the greater good, whatever, you know, is all legit. So for sure, we should give CMEs for this. So I'd like to make a motion that we do allow this.
Can I help clear up some language for your motion, Dr. Manzi? A possible motion would be to approve the board offering CME credit for attendance at PMBC medical expert and or consultant trainings.
That's right. That's the motion.
Do we have a second from the board?
This is Dr. Lee. I second that. I think it's a great idea.
Thank you. Is there any public comment on this motion?
We are now accepting public comment on the motion. If you would like to make a comment, please type the word comment in the Q&A box in the lower right-hand corner of the screen and send that comment to all participants. Dial-in users, please dial *3 to raise your hand. We will call on people in the order we have requests. We're going to take a few seconds now to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request for public comment, do you wish to continue with the motion?
Yes, please. Are there any additional comments from board members as to this motion?
My only comment, and this was advised to the staff and committee, was to be mindful of the time requirement on staff to facilitate this and implementation of this effort. And they were cognizant of that, and it's just, as I step off the board, I just want to be mindful of the board to consider the capacity and commitment of the staff to offer this, which is a great idea, but to continue to monitor the burden placed on staff to make sure that this gets implemented.
Thank you. Any other comments on the motion before us? Hearing none, Kathleen, can I request that you take a vote on the motion?
Yes. Dr. McAloon,
I approve.
Dr. Lee,
Yes.
Ms. Cadenas,
Aye.
Dr. Manzi,
Aye.
Ms. Elliott.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'll continue with the report. So that's excellent news. We will be in attendance, Brian and I, at the Western Foot and Ankle Conference later this month, and we'll
I'd like to be there as well.
I'm sorry, what was that?
I'd like to add, as the president, I will be there as well.
Oh, yes. Great. And we'll be...
But one second, I'm sorry, Beth, let me just add this now, since I wanted to inform the rest of the board that I'll be giving the Podiatric Medical Board report to the House of Delegates at the Western. And I'll be available to help man the booth as well during my time there. I'll be going there as well to participate in the educational program, so I'll make myself available to our booth as well to meet, greet, and speak with our licensees as requested.
Great. Yes, we'll be there answering any questions and also providing expert consultant recruitment information and the new offer of CMEs for those that are recruited and are involved and attend our training.
Excellent. That'll be great.
If there's no further questions on that portion, I have the citation and fine program update. There was a request for more information on citations and fines and how fine amounts are determined. Attached, I have the citation and fine regulations and our list of violations that are citable for review. What was provided to committee, not to the public, was an internal document of medical boards that does have suggested fine amounts. They're not officially assigned, but they're just suggestions for fines for violations. But what the regulations show is what the fines it can be anything from $0 up to $5,000, depending on the level of the offense. And generally, most fines stay below $2,500. So we haven't issued citations in the past couple of years until this last couple of months. So it's not something that is used for cost recovery or doesn't result in a lot of significant cost recovery. Are there any questions regarding the citation and fine information presented? Well, lastly, there was one bit of information that was not included in this report, and I will be including in a future report, that there was information requested on evaluation of the consultants for board policy, and I will be preparing this for discussion at the next committee meeting. We were a little bit short on committee and had a really busy spring season, so again, I'm going to be preparing this for the next meeting, our fourth and final quarter.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I think that's important.
That concludes my report. So unless there is any additional questions or information or something you'd like to add for next time.
Maria, do you have anything else for us from your committee?
No, that's it for my committee. I thank the staff. Thank you, Bethany, for the diligence on creating this report.
Strong work. Thank you. Dr. Lee, would you like to give the legislative report?
Hi, this is Dr. Lee. Kathleen, could you help us with the presentation of our legislative updates?
Yes, Dr. Lee, thank you very much. This is Kathleen Cooper, and I'm about to give you the legislative regulatory report. As you mostly all know, we are sponsoring legislation. It's AB 826, Podiatric Medicine Continuing Education, sponsored by Chen and the committee. Brian may want to speak to this, but just the highlights. This seems to be going through pretty easily. The board voted on March 12th, 2021, to delete Business and Professions Code 2486A through H and allow the doctors of podiatric medicine to renew their licenses in California by completing three things. One is the 50 continuing medical education units, remaining free from disciplinary actions, and paying their fees. Right now, as many of you know, we have an additional burden that was self-imposed over 25 years ago to allow DPMs to renew only upon continuing education requirements in addition to what I mentioned about the 50. At the time, there were two types of DPM licensure, those that were certified in surgery and those that were not. So we can see why this was put in. However, it is probably not relevant anymore. We don't think there are people practicing right now that are not surgically certified. If they are, they're not on staff where they could do surgery that we know of. So we are asking the legislature to allow us to promote this with all the people that are going to vote, and we understand that there is nothing but support. So I think this is probably the most popular thing you may ever do for your DPMs. Are there any comments on this? Brian's been working really hard. Maybe he'd like to give you some kind of update.
Yeah, so right now it's at the Senate Committee for review and went through the Assembly with flying colors. Right now, I haven't heard any words. We did our letter of support, which is required since we are the sponsor. And so far, usually about this time, we'd hear, we need to go and meet with the Senate Committee, but haven't heard, and everything looks good on this one. And just to add to, with the Federation, I chime in some of those meetings, Zoom meetings that they have, or board meetings. And Russ Stoner with the Federation helped us out with this quite a bit. And we're the only state in the nation that has this requirement. So that was an interest to me. And it just didn't seem practical in this, in where we are now. So to come in kind of parallel with the whole nation and to be consistent with MDs and DOs, it just makes sense. So I will keep you updated as things progress.
If there's no questions, I would just recommend anyone who's interested in more details to look at the PMBC modernization of the DPM license renewal summary. That's part of attachment A. It lays it out in detail. And as I say, we have no opposition that we know of. So if there's no questions, I'll go on to the second bill, which is AB 834, sponsored by CPMA, introduced by Irwin. And this will allow physicians and surgeons and doctors of podiatric medicine to enter into professional partnerships without a ratio being specified that a DPM cannot own a majority. So this is something that was done a long time ago, and they're trying to modernize it. It really is not directly related to our mission. We regulate the DPMs, but as far as their business entities, unless there's something wrong and they have an enforcement action because they've done something unprofessional, we really are not involved directly, except for fictitious name permits, which aren't really formations of businesses. So when it comes to incorporation, partnerships, and things like that, this is more appropriate for CPMA. However, I understand Brian has many good reasons to send a letter of support if you choose to do so today, or if you have any comments on this, maybe people involved at CPMA have more knowledge as to the reasons why this is being introduced this year. But as far as we know, it's just something that was held over, and it's about time that this happened, because there's no reason why a DPM can't own a majority interest when in a partnership. Any comments? Or
Brian, do we need to ask you to send a letter of support, or is that already on your to-do list and doesn't require any more
Yes,
action?
I would like the board to vote on this to give me the authority to send a support letter on behalf of this bill, AB 834.
Thank you. Daniel, can you speak to that and set us up?
I think supporting AB 834 is a good thing. Like Kathleen mentioned, financial inner workings within the state are not quite exactly part of our mission goal. Having said that, I think there's a lot to be said about changes in the landscape in medical practice these days, with multidisciplinary practices and multiple specialty practices and so forth. So in that arena, I could see how the modernization and the evolution of practice have taken place in California and elsewhere. And having something like this is probably a long time overdue. And it does make sense in the current landscape of medical practice for the access of our patients. So I'm looking at from the eyes of access to care, facility, and partnerships, so that our public can obtain better care by being more integrated in every way possible for their access to care. So there's no delay in care by seeing multiple specialists and generalists and so forth. So with those thoughts in mind, I do support this action.
Could you make a motion for us?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion for our EO to submit a letter of support to CPMA.
Actually, Dr. Lee, it would be to the committee through the website and to the chair of the committee.
Thank you.
This is Brittany. I can help simplify if you'd like to make a motion for the board to take a support position on AB 834 and to direct staff to send a letter of support.
Thank you.
I second that motion.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone. Is there any public comment on our motion?
Was there a call for public comment?
Yes, please.
My apologies. We are accepting public comment on the motion. If you would like to make a comment, please type the word comment into the Q&A box in the lower right-hand corner of the screen and send that comment to all participants. Or you may raise your hand. Dial-in users, please dial *3 to raise your hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests. We're going to take just a few seconds now to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request for public comment, do you wish to return to the motion?
Yes, please. Is there any further discussion among board members on this motion before we call for a vote? Hearing none, Kathleen, could you please call the question?
Yes. Dr. McAloon.
Aye.
Dr. Lee.
Aye.
Ms. Cadenas.
Aye.
Dr. Manzi.
Aye.
Ms. Trulio. Elliott, sorry. Ms. Elliott.
Aye.
I've done that before. Okay, the motion passes.
Excellent. Thank you, everyone. Brian, thank you for taking care of that.
Okay, so next on the agenda is our regulatory program, which is an update on the disciplinary guidelines. And I would just like to say, Brian and I had a meeting this week with the lawyers that are specific to regs over at DCA. And we felt it was very productive, and we have a schedule set. So one way or another, our goal is to complete this by, what did we say, Brian, January of 2025 to have everything done. So we're on that schedule. We will be presenting it to you as it goes on. There will be a few decisions you might have to make at the next board meeting, depending on how you want to do things with this disciplinary issue of, if somebody comes before you, do we want these guidelines or that level of scrutiny, or, they have it all set out, and we probably will be coming back to you with any decisions and asking for you to approve the text in October. That's our goal. So if anybody wants to become more knowledgeable about it, I guess you'll just have to read the reports, and also you can call anytime asking questions. This is an enforcement reg, so the committee there might be more interested, but we're looking forward to completing this all through the rest of 23 and 24. Are there any comments on the disciplinary guidelines schedule or the content of the disciplinary guidelines? Okay, so that's just an update then.
Thank you very much. Daniel, do you have anything else to add to your committee report today?
No, thank you, Kathleen. Thank you, Brian, for all the work.
Okay.
Fantastic. Thank you, everyone. Ms. Elliott, Public Education, please.
Good morning, everybody. Darlene Trujillo Elliott. This is the agenda item public education program report. I am going to go ahead and roll this over to ask Kathleen Cooper to introduce this topic. Before I do that, though, I do want to say that we had such a great meeting today that I'm hoping that we can capture some of these for the next footnotes. And Kathleen did an amazing job, so I'll look forward to her update. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Footnotes is now a publication and it's out. It covers the main things that we always cover. We give a little bit of update on ledge, a little bit of update asking for experts and consultants, any new licensing. But we had the addition of Dr. Lee getting some articles from, you may want to speak to this, that we put in that are just fantastic. We also include all of our enforcement updates and the schedule and calendar for the rest of the year. If anybody has, especially the DPNs or anybody for next year, this year we dealt with heel pain. Sometimes we deal with, exercises for your feet or just general things that would appeal to the general population. And then, of course, there's specific information, mostly from Dr. Lee this time, on DPM focused, and for the public too, but a little bit more professional. So just like our board and just like our makeup, the newsletter is reflecting both. We will be closing the next newsletter at the end of 2023 and hopefully, producing another 8-page updated summary of our year. So if anyone has any comments, please let us know how to make it better. And we'll just keep plowing through it, getting through each year. And then these go up on our website and they kind of summarize what happened for the whole year. It's a little bit like an annual report sometimes, I think, but more fun. So if anyone has any comments or wants to contribute, please at any time in there, you can send a link or your ideas and we will absorb that and try to get that in the newsletter.
Hi, this is Daniel Lee. Kathleen, thank you so much for organizing all this. My impetus for this issue was to at least focus on 2 arenas, and I was able to garner a couple of articles and collaborations. One with the medical student in the Bay Area who gave us some insights, and I thought that was interesting for the public and for our licensees to understand what they're going through and what they have gone through during our pandemic and how their education was affected. So I thought that sharing was important. And the second piece was something that perhaps was not written a lot about. And I was able to find one of our residents pursuing a fellowship training and to give us an overview of what that's about, how that perspired, and what the current affairs are from his eyes, and how to share that with the public and make the public aware and our licensees as well. My hope, if the committee and our board wishes, I thought perhaps another piece on how does a resident go into becoming a full licensee and going into practice. So preparation into practice, I thought that would be a great topic as well. And because of the access of a lot of the students and the residents that I have here in my hospital, if you have any ideas, feel free to send it to me as well. I can propose it to the residents and the students and see what kind of piece we can put together for our newsletter or any other ideas. Thank you so much, Kathleen.
You're welcome and thank you. Any other comments on the newsletter?
Yeah, it's awesome. Well done.
Great. Great. DCA actually adds all the beautiful fonts and pictures and, they have their people that do that. But yeah, the content's there, so we're real happy. Okay, moving on to the social media aspects of our public education update. I almost said same old, same old. Everything seems to be going well, but it's always different. We're always updating something. The last update we put up was about 1704 from last year with the radiology. That is moving forward so that podiatric radiology technicians working with the Department of Public Health will, I think it's by July, they have to have something. And so these are the regs, the notice of the regs, that if anyone has any input. So that's a top in our website. And if you want to look at it and give some feedback to the Department of Public Health, please feel free to read that notice, and it tells you how to do that. So we do other updates too all the time, but we really haven't had too much this year so far. But we will next year if some of these legislative things go through, especially the first one, the 826. So, yeah. We haven't been posting that much to Facebook or Twitter, and we usually do that on behalf of DCA or the governor's office. But if anyone has any timely news that's urgent, please feel free to let us know, and we can always send out something through those media accounts. Any comments on the social media aspects of our update?
I'm curious, like, do we have a lot of action on our Twitter or a site at all when we post stuff?
No, and I'm not so sure we would welcome like a crazy amount of involvement either. It's mostly to get a message out, often to our own people, and of course to the people out there that we care about foot health. But I mean, when it comes to like updating them, this notice, for instance, from the Department of Public Health, maybe the public would have a comment, but I would imagine it would be more for the DPM world. And so, no, we don't have a tremendous amount of feedback. There were some kind of irrelevant, people from countries where we were just getting invitations and we didn't, know to friend or not friend, but that was a long time ago. We haven't been getting too much now. So the answer to that, no, is that's not our main. We're always open. Like I say, if you have something we want to get out, I myself on my phone am registered and have seen the notices when I put them up, then they come to my phone. So they do work. And, it's a great method to get the message out. But our main thing is our website. And people come to our website more than ever for renewals and for applications. So they see everything on the front page. And then there's a nice little box on the side that guides them to where they want to go. Actually, our website is where everything is. And the social media accounts kind of just lead them back there. A lot of it's technical too. A lot of it's licensing of our activity on our website. And maybe Andrea knows how much more there is than before, but I can see that there's more activity. She sends out a postcard now, and we send the message that it's easier and it saves money. It's quicker and faster. So it's full of information, and that would be our website. If the social media accounts, if anyone wants them to be more active for some reason, we certainly could get on a schedule. But I think the theory that Brian and I have is we have something important. We want you to be interrupted. Here's the message. But just to send a message because it's time to send a message, maybe people wouldn't look at it as often if it wasn't that important to them. So we kind of save those for that. And we also have a listserv. We would like to increase our listserv. We don't have everybody on it. But the problem there is when someone gets an invitation from us, they have to accept it at that email. So we can't just put them in. They have to agree. And often they either don't know to do that or they don't read it or whatever. So we don't have, full participation on our listserv. However, everyone, I think, eventually comes to our website to do their renewal or their original application. Kind of a long answer, huh? I hope I answered the question. Any other comments?
Thank you. Darlene, do you have anything to add to your report?
No, I just want to again say thank you. The footnotes came out amazing, and for everybody's participation and providing important context. So thank you. And I will, we don't need to make a motion, right? This is just a receive and file, correct?
Yes. So thank you very much. That's the end of my report.
Great. Thank you, ladies. Strong work. Okay, then coming into the executive management report, and that's me. Let's see. So the first item is discussion on the filling of the vacant board member committee position. So there is following the next, attachment A is the current committee appointment for us to take a look at. So my understanding is that the committee appointments are the presidential assignments, so that's me, to assign the members to the committee. The issue right now, of course, is that we're losing 2 of our amazing board members, which of course will also affect our committee appointments, to which I'm well aware. Ideally, you know, Brian's been in touch with the governor's office and with the speaker's office, I believe, to get, they are irreplaceable, but to get the seats filled on our board that will be open. He's working very hard on that. So currently, I'm dragging my feet a little bit on updating the appointments so that we don't have to do it twice with the, you know, with a short, not a full contingency of board members, and then when we get new board members. So I'm dragging my feet just a little so that perhaps we'll have new appointees, then I can update this list before our next committee meetings and board meetings. If we do not have reappointees, then I will have to make do with the limited board members we have, which means that there'll be more of a workload on the rest of us. However, so that's my plan, drag my feet a little bit, see if we get new appointees to our board, and then redo this appointment list. Trying not to move around those of, minimize change to those of us who are already on, and filling in with the new people, but of course I have to take into consideration those of us who have experience and can chair these committees. So, but I'll try to not move us around any more than I have to when I add the new members in and present that for your approval. So that's where I'm at right now with the committee appointment strategy. Does anybody have any comments, questions, or concerns about that issue?
Dr. Macklin, this is Brittany. Just a note, and it sounds like you're aware, but these appointments are completely at the president's discretion, and also they do not have to be made at a board meeting. So it's something that you can do on your own time also, just a heads up.
I appreciate that clarity. Yes, that's true. So I promise I will do that, but I was sharing my strategy about how I'm going to go about it to minimize disruption to the rest of us. Does anyone else? I appreciate, but I do appreciate that, you know, this is not something that has to be voted on. I can, I have authority just to do it.
I have a question regarding your numbers. So with this being my last board meeting, you don't have anybody, you know, approved yet, I guess, or appointed by the governor. How many, do you have still a quorum for all this stuff?
I'll defer questions to Brian.
Yeah.
Yes, we have 1 vacancy, and Judy and Maria are leaving, so that's going to be 3 vacancies. From what I understand, and I work with DCA on this, is it's in the works. The professional side, the doctors, I think 3 were interviewed, and we're just waiting for a decision there. And then we'll have to circle around for a governor's public appointment and start that process for Maria's position. But we still have that 1 vacancy. We have Mike Zaff's vacancy that we've been trying to work on for quite a while. So yes, we will still have a quorum, barring if everybody makes it.
Right. Yeah, because I know from historic perspective, you could go a year or 2 without, believe it or not, without an appointment. I mean, it's not unheard of. So I'm just, you know, yeah, it's a concern. I mean, you're kind of lean. You know,
Yeah.
I'm gone. You know, Mike's position's still gone, and now Darlene's too. So
Yeah.
I don't know if there, I think, you know, I don't know if there's any kind of, you know, do they extend Darlene or extend myself, you know, until the appointment occurs, or is that like a no, what, you know, they don't do it that way?
I can circle with DCA and find out, but from what
Because
I
I think,
understand,
yeah, because I'm pretty sure that's what they did with, it was,
Neil.
yeah, Neil, yeah.
Yeah.
Because they
What
just
we found out
the
about Neil
governor to do
is,
anything.
yeah, he took somebody's appointment
Right.
that they resigned early, so they gave him that chunk of like 2 years or 3 years.
Right.
And then he started his 4-year deal.
Right. Because, you know, it's, you know, Carolyn can attest to, you know, there's a lot that goes on a daily basis regarding this board. And I think it becomes a bit burdensome. So I don't know if Brittany has any insight into what's going on, but, you know, legally how these boards function without, you know, when they get that lean.
This
I
is
don't have
Daniel
any.
Lee.
Oh, go ahead.
I've worked closely with Ms. Maria Cadenas, and thank you so much for all your time and effort. So I'll be happy to help with the enforcement committee, and then as well as thank you, Dr. Manzi, for all your time and effort for the licensing committee. I'll be happy to cover for that for the time being, based on our board and our Madam President's approval.
That's a good idea because someone you really, you know, otherwise, like I said, I think you need to have a plan. I mean, Carolyn, I can appreciate the fact that you definitely don't want to start doing these committee appointments until you find out if you're going to get replacements. And then even when you do, you have to get these people up to speed. So I think
Exactly.
it would
All
be,
of us will be prepared.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I think
Yeah, I'm
it's
not expecting too
good
long,
idea.
but just a little bit, just to see if we get anybody over the summer. But if we don't, then I'll circle back to around. It'll be, you know, Ms. Chang is still relatively new to our board, so you know, as far as the chairs, it'll be me, Daniel, and Darlene for the splitting us out of the committees, and then backing up each other on the other committees. So I'll drag my feet for just, you know, the beginning of the summer, but I'll have to make assignments with or without new appointees before we roll into our fall meeting. So I will definitely circle back around to everyone.
Right. So when are the next committee meetings?
It is, let's see. Andrea, do you have the calendar in front of you easily to answer us that question? I have to go look through the emails to find it.
I mean, it should be like right around September, maybe, or
Let's see. Our committee meetings is September 26th.
yeah. So, yeah.
You know, so a month before, I would, before the end of August, I'll have to
Figure
let
it
everybody
out.
know. Yeah.
Right. Okay,
So,
great.
yeah, so basically just for the summer, and if we don't have any appointees by the end of August, then I'll have to make it up with just us.
Yeah. Okay, so you're all aware.
Yep.
That this could, you know, I mean, we're kind of, I would be surprised if you get your appointees until the first of the year, quite honestly. The way it has gone historically.
Right.
Yeah. So I think.
Yeah. Plan A and plan B.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Awesome. Any other discussion on our committee appointments? And of course, if anybody has personal requests or anything, you can always send me an email if you have any thoughts that you want to let me know about. Great. Brian, would you be willing to update the board on the status of our strategic plan?
Absolutely. So what you got
Sure.
in your packet there is the final draft of the 2023-2027 strategic plan. And what we're looking for is an approval of this strategic plan, hopefully today, so we can get it in place. Did anybody find anything that just wasn't fitting right for all those hours that the board worked on this plan? I know there was a lot in there, but working with Solid and myself, reading it, it looked pretty good to me. So have a discussion with the members here and see if there's any input or anything that needs to be changed or edited.
Thank you. I think all of us here participated in the strategic planning process. Does anyone have any comments on the report that was prepared for us? May I submit a motion then that the board accepts the Podiatric Medical Board of California Strategic Plan 2023 to 2027?
Second that motion.
Thank you, Dr.
I'm sorry, with the second?
Sorry.
I couldn't hear the second.
It was
Manzi seconds the motion.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any public comment on the motion to accept our strategic plan?
We are now open for public comment on the motion to accept this strategic plan. If you would like to make a comment, please type the word comment in the Q&A box in the lower right-hand corner of the screen and send that comment to all participants. Dial-in users, please dial *3 to raise your hand. We will call on people in the order we have requests. We're going to take just a few seconds now to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request for public comment, do you wish to continue with the motion?
Yes, please. Do any board members have any comments for discussion of the motion before us? Hearing none, Kathleen, can you call for a vote on accepting our strategic plan?
Yes. Dr. McAloon.
Aye.
Dr. Lee.
Aye.
Ms. Cadenas.
Aye.
Dr. Manzi.
Aye.
Ms. Elliott.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Great. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, first of all, everyone, for the time commitment that we spent going through this. I know all of us have a day job, and we took time away from that to do this work, which I think we all can agree was very valuable to the ongoing mission of the board. I don't know how many of us will even still be here in 2027, but the fact that we've done this work and to help the board not only today, but in the future, even when we're not here, I think was very valuable work. And I really, I don't know if enjoyed is the right word, but I really felt it was a collaborative experience, and I felt like all of us participated and all of us contributed to this product, and I think we should all be proud of our efforts, and I think it was very worthwhile use of our time. So I thank you for serving, and thank you for doing this extra work this year. That leads us to the, can I, Brian, move slightly? Can I'd like to finish our meeting with number 3 on executive management report. Can I do that as goodwill and move to future agenda items? Okay, so that's what I'd like to do. Okay, are there any future agenda items for our next meeting? All right, I think we've spoken on all the issues we wanted to as we went through the reports. So then I'd like to move to, do I have to do any kind of any legal work before we go to good and welfare?
Dr. McAloon, I'd recommend taking public comment on this item, the future agenda item.
Thank you. Is there any public comment on future agenda items?
We are now accepting public comment on future agenda items. If you would like to make a comment, please type the word comment in the Q&A box in the lower right-hand corner of the screen and send that comment to all participants. Dial-in users, please dial *3 to raise your hand. We will call on people in the order we have requests. We're going to take just a few seconds now to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request for public comment, do you wish to continue?
Yes, please. Thank you.
And I think there's one thing we need to do. The board needs to approve the executive officers' reports.
Okay. So we have just spent majority of our meeting going through the executive officer's report, including the review of all our programs. And I'd like to submit the executive officer's report for approval by the board. Is there any public comment on receiving these reports?
We are now accepting public comment for the executive officer reports. If you would like to make a comment, please type the word comment into the Q&A box in the lower right-hand corner of the screen and send that comment to all participants. Dial-in users, please dial *3 to raise your hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests. We're going to take just a few seconds now to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request for public comment, do you wish to continue?
Yes, please. Thank you.
And Carolyn, I think we need a motion and a discussion and a vote.
Yes, I thought I had made the motion before requesting public comment to accept the executive officer's report.
Do we get a second?
That's
Dr. second.
Okay.
Thank you. I think that's what we were missing, a second. Thank you, everyone, for keeping me on track. I appreciate that very much.
Okay. All right. So shall I take the vote?
The board of accepting the executive officer's report. Hearing none, Kathleen, can you take the vote, please?
Yes, I will. Dr. McAloon.
Aye.
Dr. Lee.
Aye.
Ms. Cadenas.
Aye.
Dr. Manzi.
Aye.
Ms. Elliott.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Brian or Brittany, have I left anything else off that I need to do before we move to good and welfare?
Nope, I think you're good to go.
Yeah, I think you're good. I think we covered everything except E3.
Fantastic. Well, I'm going to take presidential privilege and go first. Because I know we all have I'm sure I speak for all of us, but I know we have everyone would like to say a few things. I would like to thank Maria for her amazing service to this board. I'm a little bit sad that we're not in person today for this big day that where two of our board members are moving on. This is there's a nice thing about Zoom, right? We could sleep in, we don't have to drive to Sacramento, we can work this afternoon. But the con is that we don't get to be in person, and I know there'd be some hugs today if we were all together for sure. But we started these meetings in person, and I had the pleasure of, as I got first assigned to this board, to get to sit next to Maria. So as a new board member, I'd always have someone to whisper and follow, and basically I just did whatever she did. That was my orientation. And I really appreciate, Maria, your willingness to be a mentor and let me learn from you and watch how this work is done. I've also learned and been very impressed about the importance of our public members. Not all boards have public members. Some of them in other states are just podiatrists. But the perspective that you bring as a public member to that helps us professional members to make sure that we don't just have our blinders on, but are constantly aware of our mission that we're serving the public, and help bring that perspective to us. And your engagement, your commitment to this board being the best board it can be, and always bringing your critical perspective to that, and keep being a great reminder to all of us who serve on how to do that with integrity and transparency and diversity, and all the important critical things that you've been really a leader for our board, and making sure that we keep that at the forefront. Oh my God, I'm going to get a little choked up here. I'm very grateful for your service and your mentorship and your leadership on this board. And I'm so sad to see you go, but so glad that to have had you serve. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It's been an honor and a privilege working with you and the rest of the board members, current and past, and the staff. Thank you for the opportunity to serve the public and learn about podiatry so closely. I look forward to the work that the board does in the future. And I also wish we were in person. Thank you.
Would other board members or staff like to make any other good and welfare regarding Ms. Cardenas's departure from our board?
Ms. Maria Cadenas, when I came to the board and we had our in-person meeting, I sat next to you. And I appreciate your candor, your professionalism, punctual comments, and extremely professional in every manner. So I learned a lot from you. Thank you for your service. I wish you the best. I will miss you, and thank you so much.
Hi, Maria. This is Darlene. The other public member, I just want to say again, thank you for your service. And again, always keeping the public at the forefront of again, all the policies and decisions we've made here. So it was a pleasure. I am sure that our paths will cross again, and I wish you all the best.
Maria, this is Judy, and yeah, I everything everyone else has said, I second, and I know I'll hear more about you and see more about you because of all the work you do locally in our community that we live in here in Santa Cruz, and your insight has been invaluable to this board, and it is your perspective has always been unique and important, and I thank you because it's a lot of work to do this, and it's really been appreciated. So thank you, and I will miss you guys, all of you. But Maria, thank you so much.
Thank
This
you,
is Brian.
Dr. Lee and Darlene. Apologies, Brian.
Hey, Maria, there's one thing I have to mention. Your comments are always spot on. You go through all the materials. Your leadership is spot on. So thank you.
Thank you, Brian.
And we are double sad today because we are losing two of our board members. Our immediate past president, Dr. Manzi, is also completing her terms of service. I don't know if we keep track of such things, but I don't know if you, the last time we had somebody have to be president as long as you were, Judy, you took up the mantle and carried it forward for all of us. And oh my gosh, what a bar that you set for all of us to assume, take this position when it's our turn after you. Running our meetings so efficiently, being so prepared, making sure all voices were heard. Your enthusiasm and passion for making our board know more and do more. You know, you've been I don't know if everyone knows this, but Judy's been a role model to me my entire career. I did my residency in the South Bay, and she was one of my attendings. And I remember her letting me see patients with her in her office. And I think I gave one of my first plantar fascia injections with Dr. Manzi. So when I got appointed to the board and to learn that she was here and president was full circle for me, and it was very exciting for me to be mentored by her once again. And so on a personal note, thank you for helping me be the podiatrist I am today, helping me be the, oh my God, I'm gonna get teary again, helping me be the a better president of our board after getting to see how you did it. And I'm very, for you getting our board involved on the national level with the Federation of Boards and all the things you've done to make our board a better service to the public and to me personally as well. I'm grateful. And I know our paths will continue to cross as you enjoy more time with your family But I'm very appreciative and grateful for all that you've done for the profession and for this board and for me personally. Thank you, Judy.
Back at you, Caroline. You know, like you're a force to be reckoned with, and the board is in great hands. So thank you for your kind words, and it's been a pleasure.
I just want to add, Judy, again, you've been a mentor. Your passion for this profession has got me excited about podiatric medicine, and being there always to answer questions and guidance as again a public member and not understanding the nitty gritty of the profession. You are a champion of the podiatric medicine, and I am sad to see you go, but I know life has given you so many choices, and we will definitely see you again. So thank you again.
And I'd like to extend and echo my thanks to you, Judy. On my first board meeting, I sat next to you, and you guided and mentored my onboarding and contribution to just the discussion, the depth and insight and commitment to the research and to the follow-through of the issues that have come up throughout the years of service. It's just been inspirational, educational, and really benefiting to the public. That goes beyond your term. Thank you again, and I'm sad to see you go. I'm sad to be leaving too, but I know that our paths will continue to cross.
For sure.
Dr. Manzi, this is Daniel Lee. Thank you so much. I came on board while you were president. I'm never going to forget that. That goes with me forever and ever. Your years and your passion for podiatric medicine and surgery are unparalleled, and the energy and the aura that you still provide to all of us is amazing. So I wish you the best. I'll miss you. I definitely hope that our paths cross someday. Keep mentoring, keep building relationships as you always have. We thank you for the time of your public service and all the time you spent with the board and the staff, with our EO and the dedication you have shown through years and years and years. So thank you so much.
Thanks, Daniel.
Brian.
Go ahead, Bri.
All right, so 3-time president. You got us through sunset. You got us through the pandemic. And you got us through a lot of things. Bills, your suggestions, your leadership, you will be missed. The one good thing is I'm not going to blow up your phone anymore. But thank you, Judy.
Yeah, well, you're welcome.
Everything.
Well, I appreciate it. I do have to give a big shout out to Brian and Bethany and Rhea and Kathleen and, you know, the staff that we have, Michelle, you know, this staff is incredible. No offense to all the board members, but they pretty much have us on cruise control, and they really are the heartbeat of this. As far as my fellow board meeting members go, I will miss you all a lot. I still do have a big passion for the profession and do stay informed and kind of try to get into the know of what's going on. And as you know, to my fellow podiatrists, this is very interesting times for our profession, and it takes people like you to be the watchdogs and to keep your finger on the pulse of what is going on nationally, because it's a lot. And I think we're going to see a lot of change, and we need the commitment of your generation, your energy to see us through it. It's a great profession, and it's got to be steered in the right direction. And you guys are just the ones to do it. And it's been an incredible pleasure, surprisingly so, to be a part of the California board. I mean, I never thought of myself as that person that would be involved, but I think if you're going to get involved on any kind of level, this is the best place to be. and you can make your biggest impact. And I do want to thank you all. And I am only a phone call away if there's any kind of like, hey, do you remember? Just Brian has my number. So I want to thank you all very, very much for this. It's been a deep honor, honestly. So thank you.
Would anyone like to make any final comments before I adjourn our meeting? I'm not sure of the record. Judy would definitely ran efficient meetings and got us done in a good amount of time, so I try to learn that from her as well. But I always want to make sure that we are all heard before adjourning our meeting for today. Any other good and welfare? Any other comments? Judy and Maria, we're giving you hugs right now. This is the hug time.
Thank you. But right back at all of you.
Thank you, everyone. I call this meeting adjourned.
Great.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good rest of your day, and we'll be talking with everyone, some sooner than later, but we'll be talking with everyone. Have a great rest of your day.
And bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Goodbye.